Which breeds do you think are most suitable for, say, families with young children?
Yeah, well, there's a variety of dogs, I suppose, and a lot of people say with young children, "Oh, I get a small dog." It does not necessarily mean that you have to get a small dog. We see something that's very regularly occurring, which is people coming to us with Jack Russells, and they've got them for the children. And some of them have, it's not even their children that they've nipped, but they have nipped children. They take themselves quite seriously. They're a very small little dog, but they take themselves quite seriously and don't like disrespect or rough handling. Whereas you'd have a dog maybe like a Bernese mountain dog that would be very large, but an enormously placid dog. So I mean, it doesn't always go that the smaller the dog is, the better dog. You will have dogs like Bichons and King Charleses and things like that. Usually very placid little dogs, unlikely that they're going to be in any way aggressive towards children. But I mean, if you go for the bigger version, like the Newfoundland um, sorry, like the Bernese or the Newfoundland or the Saint Bernard, a lot of these dogs can be quite placid, but even though they are large, and they will take a lot of heavy handling from your children. So I mean, you have the little Jack Russell that might take himself quite seriously, and a child pulls his ear and he nips him. Whereas you might have your Bernese mountain dog, and the child pulls his ear and he goes, "Ah, well, my ear's big." So it doesn't naturally have to be a small dog. But I mean, there are a lot of choices out there. You want a fairly placid, robust dog that's going to take handling by children, especially young children. Now, in saying that, I mean, I'm a great believer that children and dogs should not be left alone together. Now, this is as much for the dog's protection as for the child's protection. Sometimes children like will treat a dog like it's a teddy bear, or and they'll just pull and push and jump on it, which is very disrespectful and really nasty to the dog. So, and the child doesn't mean any harm, but it's just down to lack of education on their behalf. So there's a lot of choices out there really with dogs. I mean, the King Charles would be one of the favourites, or I would say if you wanted to go for the big dogs, then the likes of the Bernese Mountain Dog would be an ideal dog. They're very placid.
Yeah, a lot of the small dogs have small dog syndrome. So, like that, if you're walking along in a new place, you might hear a big, loud, scary dog in the distance. And as you walk closer, the dog could be no bigger than your shoe. So, small dogs can be a little bit nippy. And then the big dogs seem blissfully unaware of their largesse and are quite happy to just kind of flop around. So yeah, I think yeah, there's definitely a correlation between sometimes the bigger dogs are a lot more placid.
Yeah, well, that's it. Some of the larger dogs can make excellent pets around children. It doesn't, as I say, it doesn't have to be a small dog. But as I said, then again, right, the dog should be supervised around children. And I'm not saying like, I mean, there's everybody does it, but there is a certain idea that the dog will be all right with children. But sometimes the children don't really understand the boundaries, or they're not able to read the body language that the dog is given. The dog may be given body language that he's not comfortable with something, and the children won't be able to pick up on that. So it's very, especially with young children, maybe under the age of 7 or 8 years old, very important to supervise them around the dog, let them know when the dog is uncomfortable. Um, when the dog decides to move away from them, let the dog go, not to interfere with them around, we'll say food, if the dog is eating, not to be trying to play with the dog while he's eating, or that type of thing. It's just really common sense that young children, in a lot of situations, they won't get the little cues that the dog is given. So it's up to the parents really.
Yeah, I think so too. I often say I wouldn't trust a dog around a child because I wouldn't trust the child. Like that, if they're really small, they might know the difference between a teddy bear and a dog, or like a Furby and a dog. So they could see their shiny eye and poke it, or grab their tail, or do something that the dog thinks is quite threatening and they might nip. And if they're that little, they can't actually say, well, actually, it wasn't the dog's fault, it was mine, because they're too little.